Good evening, and thank you for joining tonight's Samadhi. It's the end of the week, it's Sunday. I'm sure you've all had a busy week. Sure you've had fun, worked very hard, and now it's time for you to take time for yourself. Give the body a chance to take a break, as well as the mind at this moment can start to take a break too. So we're going to start by getting our body comfortable, so there's no binding and no uncomfortability. Everything can drop, the body can drop. So I want you to get yourself comfortable in wherever you want to sit, if that's in your chair, on the floor or on a cushion, just as long as the body can be comfortable and can just drop. And what I mean about the body dropping is just letting it be, like your lungs, your heart, your kidneys, your spleen. They're just in their right place. They're just doing what they're meant to do. They are where they are supposed to be. And that's what I want your body just to feel, that that's where it's supposed to be, and it can enjoy and relax in this position. So there's no fidgeting, no disturbance. Nothing can take you away from the enjoyment of your Samadhi. So we just let our body just to adjust and sit and drop. Let the lungs do what they'd want to do, and let the breath just go in and out. Just be aware of your spine is sitting up straight, in alignment, and your tongue, the roof of your mouth, and your chin just tucked in slightly to bring the crown of your head in line with your spine, giving a direct alignment from Mother Earth to the vast universe above. We'll start with 3 sambas. A samba is we get our hands in prayer palms to the top of our head with an intake of breath. Bring down to your heart center and exhale, releasing all tension. One more time. Breathe in, hands top of the head, heart center, and exhale deeply, expanding all the air from your lungs. And this very last one, take an extra sip of air, fill the lungs to full capacity, bring your hands to heart center, and expand your air out of your lungs as long as you can. This is going to relieve all the stress and any pent-up feelings that's inside. Going to take them out. And just relax again. Put your hands where they're comfortable, either on your knees, on your side, or in your lap. And just let your breath Just connect, breathing in and breathing out. And your body is just relaxing, just like it's on a beautiful soft riverbank. Just feeling the soft earth underneath and connecting with Mother Earth and the universe. Bringing an end to the week's hard labour or fun or sports, anything that you've been doing with this vessel we use, just giving it time to drop and relax. Be kind to yourself. Love yourself, be kind to yourself. Oozes out beautiful love feelings to everything and every being around us. So tonight we're going to discuss, I'm going to guide you through your Samadhi. We're going to look into liberation and what that means to you. So through every 24-hour cycle, we encounter all sorts of things, all emotions, fears, joy, happiness, sadness. So at the end of the day, it's worth taking time, having a contemplation on what the day has been for you and for others that are around you. Is there anything that could be looked at that may be unusual? Maybe you were not attentive enough at certain things. Maybe you overworked. Maybe you procrastinated. Maybe you weren't supportive. Or maybe you were very supportive, made somebody's day. These things are really good to look at the end of a 24-hour cycle. Because a lot of the things that are not looked at can be carried forward. So if there's something that's raised up as like a fear, this can be carried forward and carried on over days, weeks, months, or years, and can affect you in quite a lot of ways. So rather than reacting to them, try to understand what these are, these fears, even vulnerability. If we face the fears as they arise, and address them in a positive way, then the fears will not carry on and will not grow. Because if they're held within, they can grow. They can become quite large fears for no apparent reason. Maybe carrying them on over months or years, you won't even remember what the cause was. So it's a good thing to face your fears. Because if you don't and they carry on, you can start to disguise your fears, put them under a different label. So they still worm away within you, raise their ugly heads when it's unexpected. So contemplate and look back on your day and see if there's anything you need to address. Also, the fears that are already there can still be addressed. Fears from your past, or even from family karma, things that have been passed down the generations. If you work on these fears, the fears can become the gateway or the pathway to liberty. Liberation can come your way by facing these fears and not being afraid. There's a story I can tell you of a man with fears, quite a lot of different fears and different sanskaras. And he worked hard on addressing these fears and samskaras. And he went to this retreat, and his teacher's there, and a lot of more students are there, and we're talking about fears. And the one silly fear that came up was hugging. The power of a hug, hugging another person. And this man was afraid of hugging other people. It wasn't anything to do with health-wise. It wasn't anything to do with gender. It was just an uncomfortability of hugging. And the teacher wanted to know what really was the deep down cause of this fear of hugging. Was it vulnerability? Did the man have a fear of the hugs or the fear of being vulnerable within the group, within the circle of loving students and friends? They were able to discover and find out what the true reason of this was. And it was a fear that he'd had for most of his life. It was discovered that since his teenage years, he had this fear of hugging because his family wasn't that loving and that open to hug one another. Maybe that's in your families or some friends that you know. It depends on how they handle it. But with the discovery of the fear of hugging, it opened up the vulnerability. And it was found that he was afraid of being vulnerable, being taken advantage of, being taken for a ride, being weak. These were all the things that was coming up in this circle. And the teacher was saying, well, shall we pray? And everybody prayed that the student would be freed from this fear of vulnerability. And the teacher explained that vulnerability is really the gateway to stillness. Through opening up your vulnerability, opening up your inner self, is the most amazing, freeing feeling. And it's not about being taken advantage of. And it's not to be afraid of. It's not being taken for a ride. It's not being silly or being, too open. It's absolutely being the most open you can ever be. And it is the gateway to stillness. Vulnerability opens the heart. Being afraid of vulnerability closes the heart, compresses everything down, makes the fear that more alive. So open your heart and open the vulnerability, and the stillness will fill you up. There's a power within the vulnerability. All you have to do is look at a mother and a child, mother and baby. The mother has given birth to the baby. She holds it in her arms. She takes it to her breast. At one point, she places the baby on the ground. And this is a strange, an alien place for the baby because he's been in the womb, he's been on its mother's breast, in its arms. Now it's placed on this alien surface, the floor, the earth. Is the baby afraid? maybe a little. What does the baby do? Is the baby told how to do anything? No. The baby moves. The baby's soft. The baby crawls. The baby stands and falls. Through its vulnerability, its knowledge is growing. It's feeling the unconditional love that's within the mother and baby is a protective cocoon. The baby's soft. The baby learns to walk. The baby is unafraid because of the vulnerability, the stillness that is within. The power, the force that pushed the baby out of the womb is what's protecting the baby in its vulnerability on the floor. It's a beautiful way to think of it. So the vulnerability is the gateway, the pathway to liberty, to liberation. So what does this mean? It means that if we face our fears and we address our fears, we throw away our fears, the vulnerability is there, the power, that force of protection from going back to a baby is what's going to get us to liberation. So without facing our fears and addressing our fears, there's no way to liberation. And I don't mean for you to face your fears right now. Don't go head on, bring up these samskaras in abundance. Just take them one by one. Take each fear. One by one. Face to face. Address this. And let it go. The more fear is taken away, the more space is left for unconditional love to come in and help guide you to the path to liberation. So don't disguise any fears. They hide away and disguise themselves as something else. So you need to look at these. Face them with love. Face them with that beautiful spark of love that's inside every one of us. Fears can shrink a person. And I felt that myself. I felt a shrinking when I've been afraid of somebody, or just been afraid of approaching somebody I really admire I used to shrink. I used to shrink up and, oh no, I'm not worthy. I can't talk to them. They're so much bigger than me. What a stupid thing to do. To shrink and hold this fear that I'm not worthy when I'm exactly the same. We're all one. We're all the same. Yeah, I had this feeling for years. What an amazing liberation it is when you finally understand that this fear was there. And I could release it and I could fill that beautiful space with love. I hope you really, really understand what this is about. Have that vulnerability. Be vulnerable. Let the love in. Don't shrink. Don't put a shield up. Don't be afraid. Be open. Remember, we're all one. The longer you go down that path with fear and trepidation just builds up or starts to hide, starts to disguise in different ways or manners, then the longer you're never going to find liberation. It's there for the taking. You just have to do the work. Feel that force from the mother's womb, the protective force your mother gave you, the protective force you give your children as parents. There's no fear within the baby. There's no fear within the child when the protective force of the parents is there. As we grow older, yeah, we lose that essence, but we don't need to. It's within. It's within us all. So no more shrinking. No more fears. Check out them phobias. They are the fears in disguise. Phobias are also things that need addressing. These can raise fears within. So there's that space that the fear is taking up. Address them, throw them out, let them go. Bring in that love, bring in that beautiful liberation that we're seeking. Be vulnerable. Enjoy the love of the community. Enjoy the peace of the forest, of the mountains, the rocks, of the stones, of the ocean, the clouds in the sky, the rays from the sun, the beautiful stars and the moon. Be vulnerable to it all and soak in the beautiful unconditional love. With you doing that, every sentient being around you will feel it too. Be accessible. Smile. Oh, you'll smile lots more. The eyes will say it all. Walking softly, breathing in the beautiful air. The force of love all around you, that's so attractive. Light bodies will be wanting to walk with you, to join you, to be with you. So I say, look back. Today's Sunday, the last day of the week. The new week starts tomorrow, just a few hours away. Take this time, sit in Samadhi, look back on your week, look back on your 24-hour cycle. Face them fears. There's a saying, you take the axe to the root. So move nearer to that liberation. Find that gateway to stillness. So I send my love and best wishes to you all. Thank you for joining me tonight. And I hope it has helped in even in a little way. December. And I wish you a beautiful week ahead. Remember, walk slowly and feel and taste and smell the fragrance of love. Samba, good night.